Hey guys, Maniac here, and this is another Mind of Maniac. Got balls right here. Let's crack this thing open and let's talk about what we're going to be talking about for this episode. This is an unscripted series, and what I want to talk about today is Quantic Dream. Now, why do I want to talk about Quantic Dream? Those guys are the developers who made games like Indigo Prophecy, Fahrenheit in Europe, Heavy Rain, and now they just recently released this new demo that they had called Kara. And it's to show off the new technology that they've got on the PS3's hardware. I've seen a lot of comments. I see a lot of people got a lot of questions about this. So I wanted to kind of talk about them, and I want to talk about the developers a little bit. Now, I first became aware of the Quantic Dream guys when they were just about to release Indigo Prophecy in the United States. They had just released the demo, which included the first level of the game. And I had actually heard about it from the Penny Arcade guys. There was an episode of there was Penny Arcade out, and one of the guys, I don't remember if it was Gabe or Tycho, were just raving about this demo and just telling everybody to download it. I had not heard of the game. I hadn't heard anything about it. I hadn't seen any publicity for it. I knew nothing about it. But based upon that alone, I gave the demo a look, and I was just blown away. But I don't want to talk about that per se. I mean, Indigo Prophecy came out back in 2005. It was released on the PS2, the original Xbox, the PC. You can, if you really want to find yourself a copy of it, I'm sure you can find a boxed copy of it somewhere on any of the platforms. You can download it through Xbox Live. You can download through various online retailers on the PC. Really, there's not much to say about it that hasn't already been said, so this is not so much a review of the game. Needless to say, I loved it. I loved the soundtrack, I loved the game characters, I loved the story, I didn't have any problems with the ending. I liked it a lot. I was totally blown away, and I was sold for anything else the guys wanted to make. And then after that game came out, in 2006 at E3, Quantic Dream released the first tech demo that they had done running on a PS3's hardware for what was going to be their next game, Heavy Rain. Now, at the time I was kind of thinking, oh, I don't know about Heavy Rain because I'm kind of hoping that they make an Indigo Prophecy or a Fahrenheit sequel. I want that. But, like, what's this new game, the Heavy Rain, that they're going to be doing? Now, some of the early stuff that they did, and actually what they did in Fahrenheit was that they had motion capture actors, they had facial capture actors, they had voice capture, which was kind of new at the time. But the cool thing was that with the motion capture that they were doing, they were incorporating things like wire work stunts and stuff like that. So it wasn't just a bunch of guys standing around doing a scene. There were guys flying, there were guys jump kicking, there were guys flying around and charging at each other in the air, like Superman fighting Superman or something like that. It was really cool stuff. And I love the ending. So then in 2006, the Heavy Rain demo comes out. Or I should say the Heavy Rain tech demo comes out. And you had this girl, and she was fantastic. Just fantastic. And the way the scene worked on literally so many levels, I can't even describe it here. And if you've got a copy of Heavy Rain, that you can actually unlock this video actually. Needless to say, in E3 2006, it was running real time on PS3 demo hardware. In fact, actually, they tried to prove it. I heard that you could do it by, like, you could turn it into night vision, or you could turn it into, like, something else to just show that it was running in real time. But here you had this girl come in for a casting session, and as she's talking, you can hear she's kind of talking, maybe she's talking to her husband in her kitchen. And like all of a sudden it cracks and you see she's in the kitchen when the take starts. And then you just realize as this conversation is going on, it's becoming more and more uncomfortable because she's talking about this guy being unfaithful. And then she starts talking about suicide and then eventually committing murder. And it ends with her saying, "Goodbye, my love." Boom. Flash to reality. You hear David Cage over the voice saying, "She's pretty good, right?" It's like, and you hear David Cage, "Doesn't matter, she's too tall for the part." David Cage, of course, later made a joke about that on an interview. He said that No, we will be. When somebody asked him, will you use this girl in the final version of the game, and he said, yes, absolutely. We have a part for her in the final version of the game. Whoever that director was in that tech demo was an idiot. Wink, wink, basically. That was David Cage's voice, no doubt about it. I don't think he was credited, actually, as that voice, but that was definitely him. And it was cool. I'm like, 2006. They were announcing at the time that this was going to be a multi-platform game. They just happened to be showing it off on some PS3 demo units. But very quickly after that demo hit the web, when I think they just basically video captured it directly and they put it online, the internet went crazy for it. In fact, actually, in a very, very harsh, very, very competitive market, this was something that the PS3 got a lot of press for. And the PS3 was at the time really in need of a lot of publicity. Especially given the fact of that, I don't think the PS3 had launched yet. It might have, but I don't think it did yet. And the Xbox 360 had, and it had all this stuff that it was volleying out because it had already launched, as did the Wii. Or the Wii hadn't launched yet, but it was also doing its major volleys of like, we got this, we got Mario, we got Metroid, we got Zelda. We got all this stuff coming out, we got Wii Sports coming out, we got all this tech. PS3 really didn't have that much that was coming out. There was no God of War 3 announcement. There was nothing really major that was coming out that was going to be exclusive. Nobody had really heard about Resistance yet, even though they had been talking about it. Some people were like not interested. And here you had this game that was just a tech demo. And very quickly, it was like one of the most popular games. It made the top listings of people's hits on Google, and it made the top listings of people's hits on like GameStop and stuff. You know, all this different stuff. Everybody immediately assumed that it was going to be a PS3 exclusive because it was coming out of PS3's hardware. It was being demoed on the PS3 hardware, and basically, Quantic Dream had to announce immediately that no, that wasn't happening. It was going to be a multi-platform game. In fact, actually, we were going to be using the Aegea physics system in it, so that if you had like a PC with it, one of those Aegea capture cards. This was, by the way, in case you don't know what an Aegea capture card is, a Aegea physics card, this was the precursor to what became the NVIDIA physics system. What had happened was that there was a company called Aegea that had basically released a physics card, kind of like a GPU, to stick in there, and you could actually have games that would run off of it. And the company didn't do very well because it had very few companies that took advantage of it. Very few games that took advantage of it, and it was expensive hardware, and there were software problems with it and driver problems with it and everything else. NVIDIA bought the system, ported the software drivers over to their architecture so it could run off a GPU, so that the GPU could either, if you had one GPU, you could do physics and you could do graphics in one card, or if you had two GPUs, you could either do both on two, or you could have one on the other. Like you could have physics on one card, and you could have graphics on the other for SLI purposes. This basically was what made that technology possible, and that was originally going to be in Heavy Rain. It later ended up in they had some software tool sets. So the software portions of it, at least on a lower level of it, on a driver perspective and on a software toolkit perspective, did end up in the Xbox 360 architecture as well as the PlayStation 3's dev kits. I think that's probably why they were using it. But it was just software. If you had a PC with an NVIDIA graphics accelerator used, you would certainly get better graphics on the PC and better physics on the PC. But I'm just going off on a tangent there. It was going to be a multi-platform release. But I think that a lot of people at Sony realized that this demo that was just a video running on their hardware got them a lot of buzz. And they realized very quickly that they had to snatch this thing up. And within a very short period of time, Sony announced and Quantic Dream announced that they got an exclusive publishing license. And with the exclusive publishing license, they've also got the exclusive platform license. And that Heavy Rain was going to be a PS3 exclusive. Fast forward a few years later, Heavy Rain gets released on the PS3. I pick it up day one. Outside, pouring rain. Now, where I live, that's a pretty common thing to happen. But I just thought that was just perfect. Pouring rain outside when this game comes out. And by the way, the rain didn't stop until I finished the game. The day I finished the game, the next day the sun came out. For 3 days straight while I tried to play through that game, it did not stop raining once. Until I finished it. I mean, you want to talk about just odd or creepy or something like that. That was awesome, I thought. That was just perfect. So I had to mention that. I thought it was a very fun game. I enjoyed it tremendously. I got a platinum in it. Later got the downloadable episode that was included free with pre-order. So they included an extra downloadable episode. There were going to be more downloadable episodes. That's why the one DLC that was actually just called Episode 1. But there were originally going to be a lot more downloadable episodes. And the reason why was because they wanted to have it kind of be episodic, where you'd see more perspectives and more stories. But they cut that out. They stopped that when I think Sony asked them that they were going to just release the PlayStation Move system. And they wanted Heavy Rain to be compatible with the PlayStation Move. They wanted to have a Heavy Rain version for the PlayStation Move. So Quantic Dream basically really put all their time and effort into porting that to the Move version, having a patch for the Move. And what was so interesting about that was that Quantic Dream actually, when they were first designing Heavy Rain, were very much in the process of actually using some type of motion control device, or adding some kind of motion control device to the Sony DualShock 3 to basically do more motions like forward, backwards, and stuff like that. Now the DualShock 3, based upon the 6-axis technology that it shipped with, does have some motion systems. In fact, actually, there's motion controls actually in Heavy Rain. But what was important about it was that the Move could do more. The Move could do a lot more. With the Move, a lot more was possible. And they were excited about the potential of that. And about, I don't know, maybe about a month before the Move came out, or the Move was released, and by that I mean the Move controller and the Move, you know, the PlayStation Eye and everything, the whole, you know, the controller system. The PlayStation Eye, I think, had already been out by that point, but the Move controllers and the navigation controllers, before they got released, they patched Heavy Rain and they re-released it to the stores with the updated patch to basically use the Move system. As far as I can say, the reason why I bought the PlayStation Move was because of the updated version of Heavy Rain. I patched Heavy Rain. That was like the first thing I played. In fact, actually, if you look through my go through my archives and find my PlayStation Move unboxing, you'll see that the original demos that I all did on it were for Heavy Rain. No, I didn't give a damn about any other game that was available, including the Sports Champion game. But all I wanted to do was play Heavy Rain with the Move controller, and that's what I did. So I thought that was awesome. But more time progresses, and Quantic Dream goes to Stark, and they says, what are they going to do next? Now, they had announced that they weren't going to be doing another Heavy Rain game, even though I think a lot of people wanted them to. I certainly did. But what I did want them to do was just, you know, with all the positive press that they had gotten for Heavy Rain and all the positive sales that they had gotten for Heavy Rain, it was a pretty good PlayStation 3 exclusive. Sold pretty well, as far as I know. They wanted to do another game like it. They wanted, and so I was fine with that because, you know, I would consider these games, they consider them more interactive movies. They're adventure games. Indigo Prophecy was an adventure game. You know, Heavy Rain was an adventure. I consider them adventure games. A little bit easier than the hard puzzles that they had back then, but certainly good adventure. I liked them. I thought the stories were fantastic, very well written. The acting was great. And it was adult. Very rarely did you actually find games that dealt with adult themes that heavy. Like, and you never really saw that before. Sure, there's violence, but that's usually it. Usually all games to talk about is violence and war. So all the major adult themes that you deal with in most games are, how big is my gun? I'm killing people. Is this right? Maybe. It's war. But that's usually what you find is the moral dilemma in most first-person shooter games. Here this was dealing with, do you trust this person? Do you not trust this person? Do you love this person? Do you not love this person? You have to think like an adult. You're in, you know, these are adult themes. You're dealing with a serial killer, or you're trying to, you know, do all this, you know. It worked really well. And it was a great game. So now, This is not a repeat from 2006. Once again, Quantic Dream releases a tech demo. And I've already included it on my site. I'm not going to post it up on this video. What was so cool about it was that here you could see the inklings of new technology that they were working on, and it was just fantastic. And you could just tell that they were heavily inspired by, or at least about games like, or I should say stories like I, Robot and stuff like that, the works of Isaac Asimov. But I got a kick out of the fact of, I think that they really were inspired by the works of Robot Chicken, because I remember a very good Robot Chicken sketch where a scientist is showing his new robot, which was incredibly important new technology. And it was a female robot. It was like kind of like a female version of C-3PO. That's what it looked like. It had boobs and everything else. But it was a robot. And the guy is talking about, the scientist is talking about, this is like a new field of robotics because it charges itself as it moves, almost like perpetual motion. And one guy just raises his hand and says, can you in it? Like, what? Can you in it? No! And everyone just gets up and leaves. Well, the first thing that the robot girl says in that demo when she's being built, it's like part of her initial operating system startup routine, is I can watch your kids, I can do your chores, I can do your homework, I can manage your date book. I'm completely available as a sexual partner. Well, that answered Robot Chicken's question. Okay, so what's going to be going on with this game? What's going on? Well, Quantic Dream released it as a PlayStation 3, with the PlayStation 3 hardware. So it is a PlayStation 3 tech demo. I initially assumed that when I saw this, it was probably based on the fact that Quantic Dream already had the PlayStation 3 dev kits and everything else. They were already familiar with it, with using it with Heavy Rain. They probably figured that, just develop this new technology in the PlayStation 3 is just natural because they already had the hardware and they already had the skills. But David Cage later said in an interview with Wired that apparently they're exclusive to Sony. They have an exclusive contract with Sony for at least a lengthy period, or a certain period of time. Now, I don't know if that means that, but for the sounds of it, at least for right now, that they have a contract with Sony that they're going to be exclusive for. I don't know. He didn't say exactly how long. But apparently the contract that they had was more than just exclusive publishing rights for Heavy Rain, but exclusive rights to them for a while. That doesn't mean that they're a Sony first party development studio, but could that be in the cards? Would Quantic Dreams be fine with that? They said they would not be against that, about being a first party studio. As far as I know, I think I read something like that, to say that they would not be against being a first party Sony company. Other things I noticed is that David Cage did say that they made that tech demo a year ago. That is not based upon their recent stuff. They're just showing it now. Like, they didn't make that last week. That's not their cutting edge. They said they have gotten past that. That what they're working on with that technology for their next game is beyond that. So just imagine how impressive that demo is, and just realize that whatever they're going to do with it, or whatever game they're going to make with that technology is already better. Are they going to make that game, the Kara robot, into a game? They said no, which is unfortunate. But, it was an all-encompassing story. You can just think it ends there, and Kara lives happily ever after. Or Kara, I'm sorry, Kara. Kara lives happily ever after. So, that's Maniac, guys. Really looking forward to whatever Quantic Dream has to go do next. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you guys for listening. I've got plenty more of these Minded Maniac requests that have been requested by certain people, so you can certainly expect more of them to come. Seems to be doing quite well. So please visit my site, gameaccess.net. Until next time, this is Maniac with Minded Maniac. Over and out, guys. Take care.